When I heard my cousin Jessica say that number, I froze in the church hallway. $15,000. The sum hung in the air like a physical blow that stole my breath. $15,000 for my sister's wedding gift. My gift card, tucked away in my purse, suddenly felt like a brick, pressing heavily against my hip. $5,000. Just $5,000, 2 months of careful saving, budgeting lunches at my desk, canceling my weekend getaways. All of it for a sum that, it turned out, was only a third of what they'd said I was giving. My fingers instinctively curled around my handbag strap. Jessica turned around, her champagne glass tipping precariously as she noticed me. Her eyes widened, her lips forming a perfect O of surprise. "Oh, was it supposed to be a surprise?" she murmured. My PR training kicked in before my emotions could betray me. I stretched my lips into what I hoped passed for a smile, though my face felt wooden, disconnected from the storm brewing inside. "Don't worry about it," I managed, my voice steadier than it had any right to be. "These things always have a way of getting out." Jessica smiled, relieved, and squeezed my arm. "Still, what a generous gift. Emily is so lucky to have a sister like you." The world narrowed around me as I nodded, mumbled something appropriate, and continued down the hallway on suddenly weak legs. 15,000, not 5. 15. The bathroom door felt impossibly heavy as I pushed through it, locking myself in the farthest stall. My hands were shaking. There was no audience to perform for anymore. I fumbled with my phone, pulling up my bank app. The balance mocked me, the result of months of overtime and sacrifice. The gift card receipt sat in my email, the confirmation number and amount in bold black letters, $5,000. A memory surfaced. My mother's voice, casual and cutting, over Sunday brunch last week. "You know, with your PR salary, everyone expects something substantial." The way she emphasized substantial as if my planned gift were pocket change. Emily, my younger sister, just nodded along. Jenny's sister gave her $20,000 for her wedding. Must be nice to have such a generous family. The dismissive look they exchanged when I'd mentioned my $5,000 gift, the gift that represented 60-hour work weeks and declined invitations just to save every penny. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Sweat broke out across my forehead as tunnel vision threatened to take over. I pressed my palms against the cool metal of the stall door, forcing myself to breathe deeply. 1 breath, 2, 3. In the mirror above the sink, my reflection stared back at me. Sarah Miller. 30 years old. Successful PR specialist. Reliable daughter. Generous sister. My makeup was flawless, my burgundy dress wrinkle-free, my smile practiced and pleasant. But something new burned in my eyes now, a controlled fury simmering beneath the composed exterior. I reached into my purse and removed the gift card from its elaborate wrapping. The silver ribbon I'd spent 25 minutes perfecting was now crushed between my fingers. 15,000. They told everyone I was giving 15,000. And this wasn't the first time. Images flashed through my mind, the check I wrote for Emily's final semester of college when she decided to study abroad. The loan for my parents' roof repairs that was never mentioned again. The medical bills after Dad's minor surgery last year that somehow became my responsibility. Each time, the same pattern, the casual mention of their need, the pointed references to my good fortune in my career, the implied obligation. The gratitude that never quite matched the sacrifice. Water splashed onto my wrists as I washed my hands with mechanical precision. I patted my face dry, reapplied my lipstick, and straightened my shoulders. Not this time. I walked into the rehearsal dinner with measured steps, scanning the room until I spotted them, Mom and Emily, heads together in conversation at the head table. Both fell silent the moment they noticed me. Their smiles were too bright, too eager as I approached. Guilt flickered across Emily's face before she masked it with a laugh at something our father said. Ms. Davis, the wedding planner, appeared at my elbow, clipboard in hand. Her professional smile was firmly in place. Your mother mentioned you'd like to announce your gift during tomorrow's reception. I turned to her slowly. A plan was forming with perfect clarity. Actually, I have a better idea. My voice sounded different, even to my own ears. Calm, decisive. Could I be added to the toast list before my mother speaks? The planner nodded, making a note on her clipboard. Of course, right after the father-daughter dance. Perfect, I smiled, feeling the weight of the gift card in my purse. I think everyone will be quite surprised by what I have to say. After the rehearsal was over, the hotel room key card slipped from my trembling fingers as I fumbled with the door. Inside, I kicked off my heels, one bouncing across the beige carpet as I sank onto the edge of the bed. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom, "Don't forget your speech tomorrow. Everyone's so excited about your generous gift." I switched off the phone and pulled out my laptop instead. The spreadsheet glowed in the dim hotel lighting, each entry a precise record of my silent generosity, a digital paper trail of manipulation. My finger traced down the screen, each row a memory. $4,800, Dad's medical copays after his knee surgery. $7,300, Mom and Dad's roof repair last winter. $11,340, Emily's final semester abroad in Barcelona. $3,990, the emergency loan when Emily's car broke down. $5,550, parents' anniversary cruise. $15,000, the amount I was supposed to gift tomorrow. The total at the bottom of the screen mocked me, $47,780 over 3 years, nearly a year's salary after taxes. I opened my banking app, staring at the balance that should have been larger, should have been enough for the down payment on the small bungalow I'd had my eye on for months, the cottage with the bay window and reading nook that the realtor kept calling about. My email inbox held more evidence. Subject lines from Emily scrolled past, "Thank you so much for the help with tuition, I'll pay you back someday. Love you. You're literally a lifesaver with the car thing, I owe you big time. Best sister ever. Barcelona wouldn't have happened without you. Not a single penny repaid." I clicked on voicemail, finding the message from last Tuesday that I'd saved. "Sweetie, it's Mom. Just confirming you're bringing the gift tomorrow. We're telling everyone about your generous contribution. 15,000 is such a meaningful number for our family, you know, since Emily was born on the 15th. Anyway, call me back. 15,000. The precise amount they knew I couldn't afford without emptying my savings. The hotel phone rang, startling me. I answered reflexively. "You're not answering your cell," Chloe's voice came through, clear and fierce. "What happened at the rehearsal?" "They told everyone I'm giving Emily $15,000. "They what?" Chloe's voice rose. "Sarah, that's 3 times what you planned." My laugh sounded hollow, even to my own ears. "According to my spreadsheet, it's not even their biggest ask." "What spreadsheet?" The words tumbled out as I described the financial accounting I'd kept for years, every loan, every temporary help, every guilt-induced transfer. $47,000? Chloe whispered. "Sarah, that's financial abuse." The term hung in the air between us. I'd never labeled it before. "This ends now," Chloe said, her voice hardening. "They've been using you as their personal ATM for too long." "It's not that simple," I said. "Because you've let them make it complicated," Chloe countered. "Your mother orchestrates, Emily plays along, and your father sits back and benefits without ever lifting a finger to defend you." Her words landed with physical force, the trio of betrayers named so plainly. "If I don't give what they promised, I'll look like the villain," I said. "Only to people who don't matter," Chloe countered. "This is your chance to break the pattern, Sarah, once and for all." After we hung up, I sat motionless, Chloe's words echoing. My phone buzzed again. A late-night call from Mom. "My dear Sarah, just checking in. Your father and I told the photographer to capture your special moment tomorrow. Everyone's so excited about your generosity." "Mom, I never agreed to $15,000, I said quietly. A pause. "Well, that's what we've told everyone." It would be embarrassing to go back now, her voice sharpened. You know how these things go, perception is reality. The PR phrase, my profession's mantra, used against me. I need to go, Mom, it's late. I hung up before she could respond. Then I noticed my social media notifications blinking, 3 new tags. My cousin Jessica's post appeared first, so proud of my cousin Sarah Miller for her incredible $15,000 wedding gift. Family goals. Best sister ever. 23 likes already. My stomach nodded. The trap was complete. Back out now, and I'd look cheap, ungrateful, selfish. The narrative was already written against me. I pulled out the hotel stationery and began drafting. I crossed out words, rewrote them. The words needed to be perfect, not angry, not bitter, just honest. I called the DJ directly, confirming my place in the toast lineup. Next, I retrieved the thick leather photo album from my suitcase. I'd spent weeks collecting these pictures, Emily and me building sandcastles at Cape Cod, making snow angels in the backyard, hiking with Dad at the Grand Canyon. Real memories, not monetary value. Inside the cover, I wrote, money disappears, furniture breaks, but these memories are our true inheritance. I ran my finger over the inscription, then closed the album firmly. For the first time in years, I felt something unfamiliar settle over me, not anxiety about disappointing them, not resentment over their manipulation. Something cleaner, sharper. Clarity. I placed the photo album on the nightstand and turned off the light. Tomorrow, I would give a gift worth more than $15,000. The truth. The next morning, I was balancing a mimosa in one hand and forcing a smile as my Aunt Martha leaned in close, a cloud of perfume engulfing me. Such a generous sister, she whispered, patting my arm. 15,000. When my daughter got married, her brother gave her a blender. The mimosa turned sour in my mouth. I'd already endured a morning of this, a steady stream of relatives approaching with knowing smiles, congratulating me on a gift I never promised. Each comment dropped like a stone in my stomach, building a wall of resentment I could barely contain behind my practiced PR smile. Across the breakfast table, Mom caught my eye and raised her glass in silent approval. Next to her, Emily laughed at something her maid of honor said, both of them stealing glances my way. The maid of honor cornered me by the breakfast buffet minutes later. I heard about your amazing gift, she gushed, loading her plate with cantaloupe. You're setting such a high bar for the rest of us. I could barely afford the bachelorette weekend. I nodded, reaching for a strawberry to give my hands something to do. Family is important, I said. The words tasted hollow, rehearsed. How many times had I repeated that phrase while writing checks? How many vacations canceled, promotions celebrated alone in my apartment because the money went to someone else's needs? At the hair salon, Mom held court among the bridesmaids, her voice carrying across the room. My Sarah always comes through for family. Always. The stylist twisted my hair too tight, making my eyes water. Or maybe it was the weight of expectations crushing me from all sides. The wedding planner appeared at my elbow as the stylist finished, slipping me a folded note. From your mother, she whispered, before disappearing into the controlled chaos of pre-wedding preparations. I unfolded it with trembling fingers. Your announcement right after the father-daughter dance. Perfect timing for maximum impact. My lungs constricted. She'd choreographed this entire performance. My role was reduced to opening my wallet on cue. I crumpled the note in my fist, feeling something crack inside me. Not my resolve. My silence. Back in the bridal suite, I reached for the photo album I'd brought for Emily, flipping through childhood pictures. Last night, I'd found an unexpected gift in it, the memory of who I used to be. There's 10-year-old me, skinny arms crossed, standing between Emily and a neighborhood boy who'd made her cry. My chin jutted forward, my eyes flashing. I'd forgotten that girl existed, the one who spoke her mind before she learned to swallow her words along with her pride. Another photo slipped out. Grandma Allen holding both of us on her lap, her silver hair catching the sunlight. Her voice echoed in my memory. Honesty is the only gift that never breaks, Sarah. Remember that. I touched the image, feeling the truth of it burn through my fingertips. My silence hadn't protected anyone. It had only enabled years of taking, of expectations that grew with each unspoken surrender. The bathroom door swung open and Mom appeared in the reflection behind me. Our eyes met in the mirror, her perfectly lined lips tightening at the corners. There you are. Everyone's waiting. She closed the door, blocking the exit. I've told everyone about the 15,000, Sarah. Don't embarrass us. The words hung between us, the first time she'd stated the lie directly to my face. I turned slowly, the photo album clutched to my chest like armor. I never agreed to that amount, Mom. Her shoulders stiffened, surprise flickering across her face before hardening into something colder. Don't be difficult. You make more than enough to spare. Family comes first. Yes, the word came out stronger than I expected. Family does come first. That's why I'm doing this. Doing what? Suspicion narrowed her eyes. I moved past her toward the door. Being honest. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. Truth is always right. The photographer captured me in the hallway, camera clicking at my expression. Whatever he saw made him lower the lens and nod with something like respect. That's a keeper, he murmured. Uncle Richard passed me on the way to the ceremony, his weathered hand squeezing my shoulder. Stand tall, Sarah, he said quietly. Some storms need to break. He'd always seen through the family dynamics, recognized the undercurrents while everyone else admired the surface. His support steadied me as I approached the DJ's table and handed over my revised speaking card. Before the mother of the bride, I said firmly. It's a surprise. The DJ studied my face, then nodded. Got it. The ceremony passed in a blur of white lace and promises. I stood beside my sister, holding her bouquet, wondering if she saw the irony. I'd been holding things for her all our lives. The reception began with champagne and laughter. Across the room, Mom straightened Dad's tie, whispering in his ear. She was radiant in her mother of the bride glory, accepting compliments and directing servers with practiced efficiency. Every few minutes, her eyes found me, making sure I was still in place for my assigned role. The father-daughter dance concluded with applause. Mom began moving toward the microphone, her path clear in her mind, but the DJ's voice cut through the settling quiet. And now, before we hear from the mother of the bride, Sarah Miller would like to say a few words. Mom froze mid-step, her champagne glass tilting dangerously. Her head swiveled toward me, eyes widening with alarm. I rose from my seat, legs steady beneath me. The room fell silent as I approached the microphone, feeling the weight of expectation and confusion ripple through the crowd. My heartbeat drummed in my ears, but my hands remained still, no longer trembling. For the first time in years, I recognized myself. Not the agreeable daughter, not the reliable ATM, but the girl in that photograph who knew how to stand her ground. I took the microphone, met my mother's stunned gaze across the room, and smiled. Not the practiced PR smile, but something real and unflinching. Behind Mom, Dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Emily's fingers twisted in her lap, her new wedding ring catching the light. But I kept speaking, the words flowing now, unstoppable as truth always is once it finds its voice. The wedding reception buzzed with energy, crystal glasses clinking, silverware tapping against china plates, the low murmur of conversation hanging in the air like perfume. David's arm remained wrapped around Emily's waist, both of them watching me with expectant smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes. I've thought a lot about my gift to my sister today, I began, my voice carrying across the ballroom with surprising steadiness. Mom leaned forward in her chair, nodding encouragement, already rehearsing her follow-up announcement in her mind. I could practically see the words forming behind her eyes, $15,000 from my generous daughter. My gaze locked with hers, and I held it a beat longer than was comfortable. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. Money can be spent, I continued, running my thumb along the edge of the microphone. Furniture can break. The photo album rested against my hip, hidden by the tablecloth. But love and truth last forever. Mom rose halfway from her seat, her champagne glass abandoned. The DJ, bless his soul after our earlier conversation, subtly stepped between her and the microphone stand. Emily's smile faltered as she glanced from me to Mom, then back again. Her fingers tightened around David's sleeve. Dad shifted in his chair, suddenly fascinated by the pattern on the tablecloth. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He never has when it matters. Instead of a number, I said, my voice gaining strength with each word, I want to give my sister a blessing. Build your marriage on honesty, not on forced sacrifice. A ripple moved through the crowd. Raised eyebrows, exchanged glances, small nods of recognition. Aunt Judith, who watched Mom manipulate me into paying for Emily's study abroad program 3 years ago, leaned toward Uncle Richard with a whispered comment. Richard's eyes met mine with quiet approval. The truth had been hiding in plain sight for years, visible to anyone willing to see it. Family isn't measured in dollars, I continued, even as Mom attempted to edge around the DJ, her smile stretched so tight it might crack her foundation. The growing applause drowned her protests as she tried to interrupt. It's measured in moments of authentic connection. I reached beneath the table and lifted the album, its burgundy leather cover catching the light from the chandeliers overhead. This album contains our shared history, the real wealth of family. Walking toward Emily, I felt strangely weightless. The pressure that had lived between my shoulder blades for years, the constant responsibility of being the family ATM, dissolved with each step. I opened the album to the first page, Emily, age 7, and me, age 10, arms wrapped around each other at the lake house, before college tuition and roof repairs and medical bills. Before the calculations and manipulations. Before love came with a price tag. Remember this? I asked, my voice soft now, meant only for her. You were afraid of the water, and I taught you to float on your back. A tear slipped down Emily's cheek, smudging her carefully applied mascara. Shame and recognition flickered across her face as she accepted the album with trembling hands. I hope you and David fill it with honest moments and true happiness, I said, squeezing her fingers before stepping back. That's worth more than any dollar amount. The photographer captured the moment, Emily's tear-streaked face, the album clutched against her sequined bodice, my straight-backed posture as I returned to my seat. It wasn't the money shot Mom planned, but it was honest. Applause swelled around us, louder than I expected. Uncle Richard was the first to stand, followed by Chloe at the back table, then Aunt Judith, and soon half the room. Not standing for me exactly, but for the audacity of truth over practiced family performance. Mom remained seated, her body rigid with fury, barely contained behind her social smile. Dad patted her hand absently, his gaze fixed somewhere over my left shoulder. Later, guests approached with genuine appreciation. Mrs. Robertson, Mom's bridge partner for 20 years, squeezed my elbow. About time someone in this family spoke honestly, she murmured, loud enough for Mom to hear from 3 feet away. Emily found me by the cake table, the album tucked under her arm. Her makeup had been hastily repaired, but her eyes remained red-rimmed. You made me look terrible, she whispered, but there was no real heat behind it. No, I corrected her gently. I gave you the chance to be better. Emily glanced toward our mother, who stood surrounded by a circle of relatives, her hands moving in short, sharp gestures, damage control in full swing. Mom intercepted me as I slipped away from the crowded dance floor. Her fingers curled around my wrist, manicured nails digging into my skin. You've humiliated us in front of everyone, she hissed, her smile fixed for any watching guests while her eyes flashed with cold fury. That speech, that photo album, what were you thinking? I drew a steady breath, feeling oddly calm despite the storm brewing around me. The weight I've carried for years had lifted, leaving clarity in its place. I was thinking about honesty, Mom. Dad appeared behind her, his jaw clenched beneath his rehearsed smile. Your sister deserves better, Sarah. On her special day, of all times. Before I could respond, Emily approached, her wedding gown swishing softly against the polished floor. Mascara streaks her cheeks, the perfect bride's makeup now imperfect with tears. "Why did you have to make a scene on my special day?" Her voice wavered between genuine hurt and practiced performance. "Everyone was expecting, $15,000? A gift I never promised," I asked quietly, refusing to be baited into raising my voice. Mom's nostrils flared. "We assumed you'd want to do something meaningful with your salary." "My salary barely covers my rent after I've given you $47,000 over the past 3 years. The number fell between us like a stone, precise and undeniable. Dad blinked rapidly. "Now wait just a minute." I reached into my clutch and withdrew a folded piece of paper, the spreadsheet I printed that morning. Every transaction meticulously documented. "Here's a complete accounting," I said, my voice as steady as the hand that held the sheet. Dad's medical co-pays, Mom's roof repairs, Emily's final semester abroad. The number, $47,000, now had a physical, undeniable form. "That's private family business." Mom snapped, her voice rising, glancing nervously at nearby guests who'd begun to notice our tense gathering. "Private until you decided to announce a fictional $15,000 gift to everyone we know," I countered. "Love shouldn't come with a price tag." Uncle Richard approached, champagne glass in hand. His weathered face hardened as he overheard Mom's rising protests. "Eleanor, the girl's right," he said, placing a steadying hand on my shoulder. "This has gone on too long." Mrs. Caldwell, my mother's bridge partner for 20 years, paused nearby, her expression shifting from curiosity to discomfort as she witnessed Mom's mask slipping. "You don't understand." Mom sputtered, her composure fracturing. "Family helps family." "I agree," I said, opening my purse again. "Which is why I brought these." I pulled out my phone and opened the text thread with Emily from 2 weeks ago, holding it where she could see the screen. "Mom says you're announcing the $15,000 at the reception, so generous, can't wait," followed by a string of heart emojis. Emily's face drained of color. "I didn't. I thought." She stammered, looking from the phone to me. And here's the twist. The wedding planner, Ms. Davis, who had been hovering nearby, clipboard clutched to her chest, stepped forward. Mom attempted to wave her away, but Ms. Davis ignored her. "Mrs. Miller specifically asked me to prepare for this announcement," she said, addressing me directly. "She gave me the exact figure and requested it be highlighted during the parent toasts. I was just trying to make your sister's day special." Mom's voice rose, drawing more attention. At my expense again, the words tasted different now, not bitter, but truthful, necessary. Emily stared at the phone, then at the photo album I'd given her. She opened it slowly, her fingers tracing over the childhood photos. Sarah at age 10, standing protectively beside 7-year-old Emily on the first day of school. Teenage Sarah helping Emily with science fair projects while their parents beamed for the camera. Her eyes lifted to Mom. Something new was dawning in them. Understanding, perhaps, or recognition of a pattern she'd benefited from without questioning. Mom, the single word carried weight, a question loaded with decades of unexamined family dynamics. Mom's carefully constructed facade crumbled completely. Her shoulders stiffened as she grabbed her evening bag from a nearby chair. "I won't stand here and be accused by my own daughter," she announced to anyone listening. "Not today, of all days." She stormed toward the exit, her heels clicking sharply against the marble. Dad followed without meeting my eyes, his perpetual retreat from conflict as familiar as his cologne. I stood alone in the aftermath, spine straight, my breath even. Conversations resumed around me in hushed tones. The DJ announced the next dance. Life continued. Uncle Richard squeezed my shoulder once more before moving away. "About time," he murmured. Emily remained, clutching the album to her chest, looking smaller somehow without our parents flanking her. "I didn't know," she whispered. "Not everything. There's a difference." "What happens now?" she asked. I looked around at the beautiful reception, the flowers that cost more than my monthly rent, the open bar and lavish buffet, the life we'd all pretended we could afford. Now, we start telling the truth, I said, feeling the first real smile of the day spread across my face, and see what's left. I ran my fingers over the glossy album cover, savoring the quiet of my apartment. It had been 1 month since Emily's wedding, and the weight I'd carried for years had lifted from my shoulders. No frantic texts asking for small loans, no guilt-inducing voicemails about family obligations. The morning light streamed through my living room windows, catching on the unopened letter that arrived yesterday. Emily's handwriting. I'd been circling it like a cautious animal, unsure whether it contained another manipulation or something new. Taking a deep breath, I slid my thumb under the seal. Dear Sarah. The photo album sits on our coffee table. David picks it up almost daily, asking about the little girls with gap-toothed smiles building sandcastles at Cape Cod. I've shown him every picture a dozen times now. What I haven't told him, what I need to tell you, is that Mom pressured me into the money announcement. She said it would motivate you to give more. I should have stood up to her. I'm sorry I didn't. Your speech wasn't what I expected, but maybe it was what I needed. Love, Emily. My hands trembled slightly as I folded the letter, the first honest communication between us in years. I pulled out my own copy of the family album, the twin to Emily's gift, and flipped to a blank page. Carefully, I positioned a new photo, Emily hugging me after my wedding speech, her face revealing genuine gratitude rather than the practiced smile our mother taught us. Not perfect, but real. Next to it, I left empty spaces, room for honest relationships still forming. How's therapy going? Chloe asked later that night, raising her wine glass across the dinner table. Around us, friends who had stood by me through the wedding drama clinked glasses and laughed. Dr. Marshall says I've got excellent boundaries now, I replied, unable to keep the pride from my voice. Last week, Dad called about their property taxes. I suggested a payment plan with the county instead of reaching for my credit card. Chloe's eyebrows shot up. And he actually thanked me for the advice instead of making me feel selfish, I said, shaking my head, still surprised. Baby steps to speaking truth, even when it's difficult, Chloe declared, raising her glass higher. To speaking truth, our friends echoed. My phone buzzed. Mom's number. Once, that would have sent me into a spiral of obligation. Now, I silenced it, planning to return the call tomorrow, on my terms. When Jen, a coworker, mentioned her parents' expectations about helping with her brother's college tuition, I shared my experience without preaching. The relief in her eyes when I validated her discomfort reminded me of my own journey. Later that week, my phone rang during lunch. Sarah, my mother's voice sounded different, less commanding. I've been thinking about what happened at the wedding. I waited, my fork suspended. I never saw how much pressure we put on you, she continued, the words clearly difficult for her. The money, the expectations. I think I convinced myself it was normal. Thank you for saying that, I responded carefully, measured. I'm open to building something new, based on respect. A pause. I'd like that. That evening, I added another photo to my album, a recent family dinner where, for the first time, no one mentioned my finances or implied obligations. Just conversation, sometimes awkward, but honest. On the album's first page, I wrote an inscription, the true wealth of family is measured in honesty, not dollars. I closed the album, leaving the final pages blank, ready for a new chapter of family history that hasn't been written yet. Sometimes the most valuable gift we can give is the courage to speak our truth.